One of Valorant's main strengths is its agents. I mean, a game is practically nothing without its cast of characters. But with the release of newer agents comes a problem that affects older ones: power creep. Power creep is a situation where updates or expansions to a game introduce more powerful units or abilities, leaving the older ones underpowered. Unfortunately, this has happened in Valorant as well. Hey guys, it's Eggwick, and today we're fixing the worst agents in Valorant. If you like this vid, please consider subscribing. So I'm going to be covering 3 agents: Brimstone, Phoenix, and Omen. I won't be touching Yoru because he's already due for a rework. Anyway, I believe that these 3 are the most underpowered agents in the game currently, not because they're bad, but because new agents do it better. Omen and Brimstone are just outclassed by Astra, who, by the way, is too strong at the moment, but that's a topic for another video. Phoenix's abilities have better versions on other agents, with the exception of his ult. That said, we're gonna try to give them buffs that'll make them on par with the rest of the roster. Let's start with Brimstone. One of his biggest problems is the range of his smokes. Compared to Viper, Astra, or Omen, his range just pales in comparison. He does have the luxury of putting his smokes down all at once, but that doesn't make up for the lack of range. He's basically unplayable on bigger maps like Breeze because he has to rotate so much just to smoke while others don't have to. Another problem is the animation to smoke. If you guys didn't know, Brimstone's little iPad thingy makes a sound when he pulls it up. No other agent makes noise when they have to smoke, and this just gives away Brim's location. Third is that he has to buy his smokes. Now, I don't necessarily think this needs fixing, as other agents behave the same way, so I'll leave that untouched. The next problem with Brimstone is the uselessness of his stim beacon. Sure, it makes you fire faster, but a lot of players actually don't like it because it messes up recoil control. Granted, this is only some players, but the fact that others would play without it is telling enough about this ability's power. That said, how do we fix Brimstone? I think his ult and molly are fine, so let's address everything else. For one, his smokes need to be global. For God's sake, he uses a satellite to smoke and you're telling me that he has to walk a bit before his satellite can target a location? Anyway, if that's the case, then his ult should be global too if we're being consistent with the lore, but I'm fine if it stays the way it is. His smokes already last the longest and have no vision inside of them, so we also don't need to touch that. Now, this is the exciting part. I think the stim beacon needs to do something other than a firing rate buff. This might sound crazy, but hear me out. I think it should give you a movement speed buff that decays after a bit and maybe allow you to defuse the spike faster if we're being adventurous. This will not only make Brimstone rotate faster, but it'll also help his teammates rotate and add an interesting dynamic to Brimmy's on defense. We can even just settle for movement speed on the stim, and I think he'd be in a good spot meta-wise with all the changes. He's definitely going to be a relatively simple agent to play, but at least he'll be more viable on larger maps and have more utility with his kit. I don't think he'll be stronger than any of the other controllers, but there's more reason to choose him this time around. Moving on to Phoenix. Well, Phoenix is kind of a tough one. I'll be completely honest and tell you guys that I had no idea how to approach this agent. He's one of those jack of all trades type of characters, and I feel like if you shift his abilities a little bit, he might become overpowered. So I asked for help from the most famous Phoenix main, XTR, and this is how he would buff Phoenix. First, he says the obvious choice would be to increase the duration of the flash and heal. Phoenix originally healed for a lot more, but they tuned it down and he doesn't see them going back to that. Second, he says that one of the best ideas he's heard is to give Phoenix's wall some sort of vulnerability effect like Viper, or add a burning effect. My take on this is that it's something like the thermite grenade from Apex where it would tick over time, and he also says that a price decrease on the flash would be great. A few other things would be keeping his armor after ult, being able to cancel ult at any time, or even increase the duration he stays in his ultimate. I pretty much agree with everything XTR has said. He even says that if only a few of these changes were to be picked, it would already be huge for the character. Personally, I think cancelling his ult and increasing the duration would be insane, and adding the burning damage over time effect to his abilities would be great as well. This will differentiate his wall and molly a bit from the others, and it will make him more unique as a character. Again, thanks to XCR for helping out with this segment. Lastly, let's talk about my boy Omen. Omen was actually leaked to receive buffs some time ago, but I have no idea what happened to that. In the leaks, his ult was supposed to blind people in a vicinity around him, and his blind would not affect teammates anymore. Honestly, if this went through, I don't think I'd feel the need to put Omen up here. He's a great agent, but at the moment his smokes are just too slow compared to Astra's, and his ult doesn't really provide much guaranteed utility compared to other agents. Aside from those two leaked buffs, I would make it so that the smoke speed reverted back before they nerfed it. But yeah, what do you guys think about these changes? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and remember, this is just my opinion and you're allowed to disagree with me. Just, obviously, be civil and don't be mean. Also, thank you so much for 168k subscribers. This is Eggwick, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.